you know, we've always had at our board meetings and other times, a moment to hear directly from a student. And so we couldn't let this time go without doing that again. I want to introduce you to Sayre Reese, who was raised in Louisville, but is now in the DC area as a senior strategist at the National LGBTQ Task Force, where they've had an 18-year career in the trenches of progressive candidate and issue campaigns, organizing across the country. This is a story, though, that is when things sort of worked in terms of education. Sayre's college education at U of L was interrupted early in their career, but when a reason rose up to finish their degree, Louisville was there to help. So I want you to hear a little bit from Sayre about this adult comebacker story that's both instructive and encouraging. So Sayre, welcome, and let's get started. What led you to stopping out of U of L, and what brought you back?
Thank you so much. It's so awesome to be here, and it's been so inspiring to be with you all this morning, and grateful for your work over these years. I stopped out because I'm an experiential learner, and I was having a lot of fun working in political campaigns, helping women run and win office in Louisville and across the Commonwealth, as well as doing justice work with the Fairness Campaign and the Kentucky Fairness Alliance statewide. And my political science professors were irritated with me that I was not in class, and yet I was bringing in, you know, A's and B's. And I left to go help run a campaign for a former state senator. And during that time, failed to do all of the dot your I's and cross your T's of what it meant to withdraw properly. And so when I returned in the spring of '95, I had a very poor GPA and had not a lot of excitement about diving back in, and was in an internship at City Hall in the old city of Louisville, learning. I was in, you know, the school of life, and so was having a lot more fun, frankly, not inside a classroom. And what brought me back 18 years later, almost 20 years later, was I was in a mid-career leadership program through the Rockwood Leadership Institute. And it's one of those programs where people change their life. They either stay at the organization they're with and excel and matriculate into another position, or their lives change. They get divorces, they change careers, they change jobs. And mine was twofold. I actually created a new job for myself at the task force, from the director of an organizing team to being the senior strategist. I wanted to be the garden tender, the internal org development manager. And I also discovered this thing called biomimicry, which is the study of nature to apply to human challenges. And when I learned more about biomimicry and what it would take to become an expert in it, it meant getting a master's degree. And because I hadn't finished my bachelor's degree, I had a hurdle to jump that I hadn't necessarily planned on jumping until there was a need to, and then there became a need to.
Great. Well, and so how was your experience trying to re-enroll?
It's such a good question. I am a community and electoral organizer. I have learned all kinds of skills about what it means to be successful. And there are barriers, right, in systems. I think all of us on this call know that. And because we have an amazing, you all talked about what were the successes that have come together to make this program a success. And I benefited from that. And part of it was the attitude of, we want to get people back home to finish these degrees, come back home and do this. And so when I was looking for a program to finish my bachelor's, you know, I looked at other online programs. I was, you know, at work full time still and needing to get this degree. And I was sitting at my desk one day and I thought, why am I looking at these other programs? I wonder what U of L has. I have all these credits sitting there. And so why not go home and finish this degree? So I typed in, you know, University of Louisville online, and up pops the organizational leadership and learning degree. And it was really serendipitous because the syllabus of the OLL program matched my new job description. And when I had a conversation, I actually think it was with Matt, and we talked, and it really was perfect, right? It was this praxis of everything I'd learned on the ground and on the job for 20 plus years in a program that then I could also apply it when I was learning. It also helps that there are people who really care about folks succeeding. So Jenny Sawyer at U of L, while I have a relationship with her, I know that she stays at her office until 9 o'clock at night calling prospective students to help, get rid of barriers for them returning. She had the unenvious position of calling me and saying, hey, got your folder on my desk, and good news, bad news, your grades were so bad that you actually don't qualify to return to U of L. That's the bad news. The good news is you have to write a letter and tell us what you've been up to, and we can put you on probation and come back in. And that wasn't actually the most important thing that Jenny said. Jenny is egoless, and I think that all of you in this program have demonstrated the egolessness that is necessary when a system comes together to work. She also encouraged me to go back to take some of my core classes at JCTCS. They were going to be cheaper. It was the same quality of classes, and I could finish them in a timeline that would help me get into the OLL program faster. The other piece that was really helpful is that in the OLL program, as you all probably know, is this, and Matt put up on his slide, the prior learning assessment. That was invaluable. It gave me a sense of, I knew that the work I had done for the last 20 years was in some ways historic and on a national level in moving the LGBT social justice and political movement forward. And I was able to document every leadership experience that I had had. And just having that portfolio gave me a sense of accomplishment, and someone validated it, right? Like, we shouldn't need people to validate things, but we live in a system where sometimes we do. It's not enough to have personal validation. And so just going through the process of the prior learning experience application was hugely motivational.
Man, so what a great story of, having this opportunity set up. And we're seeing that so many more of our higher eds are doing that. But to take advantage of the way to take some courses at Jefferson, others in, at U of L. And all of that was online, right? So now we are in this pandemic Zoom age where we're worried about, gosh, with everything online, just give a quick minute. How was that for you?
Yeah, I was worried because I am an experiential learner. I was a fine student. My mom was a 20-year JCPS high school teacher. And so, I come from a family that values education. I got good enough grades to stay on the basketball team, the debate team. But I learn better when I'm, doing things with my hands and talking with people in real time. And so I was really nervous about the online experience. And because of my experience and my life experience as an adult for 20 years, I learned I know time management. I know how to be successful. And so I found it way easier and a lot more satisfying than I thought it would be. The challenge was, a pro is the asynchronous aspect. You can do it at any time as long as you turn in your assignments on time, right? The challenge, though, is that you're not building the sort of human relationship with people. And so the dynamics of racism, classism, sexism, transphobia, et cetera, they are there in a different way. And so what I experienced is that when I would post things about being queer, about being trans, about being married to a woman, about my positions on race as an anti-racist white person, those posts would get less replies to them. And so, there is a way in which these biases play out online in a different way. And I think it's something we have the opportunity to improve upon in the online experience.
You also mentioned, and that's such an important call out for all who are educators and working in this online community, but you mentioned to me the importance of, there was like an advisor person in most of these situations too, right?
Yeah, so I actually have had an interesting, from the enrollment experience at U of L, having the conversation with Jenny, having a conversation with Matt, having a coach and a counselor through the OLL program. There was 2 pieces of advice. One was don't take math online. And so I didn't. I came home to U of L and took an in-person math class for a semester. I also took an in-person communications class at the District of Columbia Community College. And so those 2 experiences, proved invaluable, having listened to the counselors and the coaches and implemented their advice. Awesome experience at JCTCS. And then at Arizona State University, where I'm pursuing a master's degree, again, having someone who's checking in with online learners, both getting the emails that are, they're obnoxious because they're filling up your inbox, and someone's thinking about you, and you have a scheduled call every semester to talk about your plan.
Great. I want to keep talking with you forever, but we've got to go. Can you, in 10 seconds, say, if you're looking ahead 10 years from now and thinking back, and everything is, we've got great equity, people are embracing learning, what's happened? What's the one thing you would wish happens between now and then? And really, we got to keep it quick, but thank you, Sayre.
Gosh, that's such a big question, right, Gwen? I think continuing to focus on getting folks back in. I've been an evangelist about, if you're in your 40s, go back to school. Even if you've gotten a degree, go back and do some kind of learning. Being able to sit down and reflect on the life experiences and doing that praxis, I think is invaluable. Supporting people to, even if it's not part of an entire degree, and you've just made it a certificate program, the prior learning application, I think that would be invaluable. So continuing to remove the barriers and to increase the excitement and the motivation for folks. And y'all are doing that. That's what I've been hearing for 2 hours. So I'm so grateful to all of you for making this possible.
Thanks for sharing your story, Sayre. It was great to have you, and we want you back in Louisville.